Let's go.
Hell, you got the juice now.
My nigga, fuck the rules. Getting that guap, but we not the same. Niggas got struggles, but we don't complain. All that shit on my mind, feeling like I'm insane. Never say anything you don't mean. Self-sufficient, getting to the cream. Consistency is the fucking key. Yeah. I done seen niggas just turn fed. Switched up when you thought you knew him. Get the change, I don't want the fame. It's a different tone when you talk to him. No better time than right now. Secret haters coming with a smile. Leveling up, I'm so high. I can never see me coming down.
Front of my folk, these niggas is hating, I'm stealing the show. Big account Asian, my rollie on froze. Finna go platinum with all of this gold. They told me keep Benji, you high like a stove. They pockets on deflate, my shit's overflow. Hating ass niggas, they out of control. They got no money, so they want me to fold. I told my mama I would buy her a mansion with all of these diamonds on me. And they dancing, these niggas is cancer, but don't stand too hard. Diamonds so bright, get that boy memory lost. I am a boss, I feel like me, Millie, Willie, and with Ross in the streets out of Philly, but I'm from the hill.
What's going on, people? It's Hill TV. Got a very special guest with me. You may know him as the chef. He goes by Joshua EXUM Baker. Welcome to the show, man.
How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good,
TV,
man. How you doing?
Great for having me, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Of course, of course. Before we get into things, I wanna break down this Canelo and Terrence Crawford fight coming up.
Okay.
Who you got in that one?
Crawford. I got him winning the fight convincingly, possibly stopping Canelo too.
Stopping Canelo?
Yeah. You know, he's gonna run into a lot of shots. You know, Crawford does a good job controlling range and distance. Canelo's flat-footed. You know what I'm saying? So he has to, like, you know, sit down and load up on shots and stuff like that. I just don't think he's gonna allow Canelo to find him like that. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, Crawford does a V-step, nice C-step, inside fighting. He's strong in the clinch.
Right.
You know, his wrestling background gives him that advantage. You know, but I just think he's gonna be walking into a lot of shots. He's gonna make him miss a lot, and he's gonna make him run into a lot of shots to the point where, you know, it'd be like a human pinata, you know, getting beat up for the duration of the fight, where it's possibly a stoppage. I definitely think that Canelo does have a great chance of winning the fight if he just stays on top of him and just punches on him, you know, for the whole 12 rounds. But Canelo's not a busy fighter like that.
So how many rounds do you think this is going?
You know, it go 12 rounds. If, you know, Crawford wins the decision, just outboxes him. Canelo has a strong chin, but I feel like Bud's power, running into shots you don't see, you know, he might send his jaw into the quantum round.
Okay,
for sure.
Okay. So speaking of Bud, let's do a fantasy matchup.
Okay.
You got Bud versus Floyd Mayweather. Who you got in that one?
That's a 50-50 fight. And only because, you know, Floyd Mayweather hasn't lost a fight in his life, in his career.
Right.
So to say he'll lose to Bud and to say Bud will lose to him, it's a toss-up. I would lean towards Bud because of the switch hitting. Because if he starts out in orthodox and you're trying to figure out the timing for his orthodox stance, he could switch up southpaw on you, and you spent the half the fight figuring out the timing for one stance, and you get completely thrown off by the switch up. So I think that's a big advantage to someone like Floyd that does the same thing. He downloads and stuff like that and gets the timing down. Great counter puncher. Bud being naturally stronger than him and stuff, it'll be a tough fight for Floyd. It'd be a tough fight for Bud if he has to chase after Floyd too, in a way too. You know what I mean? And Floyd got great timing, great countering. So it's a toss-up.
It'd be a good fight.
It'd be a good fight. Be a good fight.
Okay, so let's say Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson.
I got Mike Tyson winning by stoppage late, possibly middle rounds. No disrespect to Muhammad Ali, but he just doesn't have the head movement. He doesn't get away from shots. You know, he relies on laying on the ropes. And if you lay on the ropes against a guy like Tyson, I mean, he already fought a guy and got beat by a guy with a similar style as Tyson and Joe Frazier. So if he does that rope-a-dope stuff and all that, you know, it'll be an early night for sure. You know, but now if Ali in his prime, this is prime versus prime. Now if Ali stays away, uses his feet, stays away, keep it at distance, uses jab, and he could possibly win that way too. But he almost have to fight a perfect fight to keep a guy like Tyson off him. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you. Let's go over to another sport, basketball, right? I mean, you go by chef. I mean,
Yeah.
That, yeah. That energy.
Where does chef come from with terms with basketball?
Yeah, where
does it relate?
Where does that come from? Yeah.
So, for one, I like cooking, but I only cook like limited amount of variety on the menu. I'm not per se a chef, because a chef could literally cook anything.
Right.
I'm more of a chef when it comes to cooking on the court. That's what it like. It's a metaphor for cooking someone on the court, and you know, trying to cook up. You know, the terminology. You know, I'm gonna fry you, I'm gonna cook you, bake you, all that stuff. So
food type.
You know, you food basically when it comes on the court. That's where the chef analogy comes in terms of basketball.
So it's like backed up, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, all the kids, I mean, Chef Fam was a branch off from Jelly Fam when they, you know, Jelly Fam had their thing, that represents finger rolls, the movement that represents that. You know, you got a little good lay package with the finger roll, they call it the jelly roll. You know what I'm saying? So that was how Jelly Fam, and then you had Bucket Fam, is if you specialize getting buckets, and then your Bucket Fam, or you a walking bucket or something like that. And you got Jam Fam, you got dudes that could just dunk at any point on the court. They got Mad Rise, that's Jam Fam, and then you got you know, with Chef Fam. You know, if you could fry, if you cooking up, if you cooking, frying dudes on the court, you know,
sauteing.
Yeah, you sauteing them. Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
So what's your top 5 favorite, you know what I'm saying, hoopers?
Favorite hoopers, right? Not best players of all time. This is like your favorite hoopers who you enjoy watching play, right? So there's 5 players that inspired me to work on my game to become better as a basketball player would be Hakeem Olajuwon, Tim Hardaway, Allen Iverson, Travis Best, backup point guard for Indiana, and I would probably say like Larry Bird. You know, I like watching Larry Bird. You know what I'm saying? When I was growing up, Larry Bird was one of them.
That's a tough vibe.
Yeah.
You said Hakeem first.
Yes.
Right.
Hakeem was the first big man I ever saw that had moves like a guard. You know what I mean? Like he was a special talent. Like the guys that's doing stuff now, like these kids now, amazing athletes. You know what I mean? They're amazing athletes. They can do a lot on the perimeter as far as like get the rebound and take it coast to coast, or you know, shoot the 3 ball, or put it through the legs, hit you with the shimmy pull up. Hakeem had all of that. He, you know,
big man.
The big man, like, but he was a prototypical, like, yo, I need you in the post, cooking in the post and stuff like that. So he get it on the block, do the fadeaway, do the hooks, you know, he'll do the pull-up jump shot mid-range. So he had it all. If he played in this era today with the trainers and stuff like that, it'd be a wrap. Same with Wilt. Like Wilt, if a young Wilt was born today and played today with the training and all that, he'd still be the #1 high school player in the nation. That's how great he was, you know, athletic wise. And then if he trained with the modern day trainers that got him, teach him shooting threes and handling and all that stuff, it'd be a monster even more. You know what I mean? So
speaking of Wilt,
yeah,
you got Wilt and Bill Russell, right? Played in similar eras.
Yeah.
Who you got in that matchup?
Wilt.
Okay.
It had to take all of them to stop Wilt. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just Russell. Russell was great defender, great rebounder. You know what I mean? But Wilt was just too much. Physically, he was just too much.
Okay.
You know, Russell had the benefit of having the best players around him. You know, and that's with all due respect to Russell's legacy and what Russell brought to the table. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I just think Wilt had more. He had more of a variety of like stuff in his arsenal, intangible wise. You know what I mean? Grabbing rebounds. He was blocking shots. He's an incredible scorer. So, if you go player for player, I feel like if Wilt had the guys that Russell had, they wouldn't have lost the game, let alone the championship. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference.
14 chips.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It would have been, 20 chips, if it was like that. But I just don't think they would have lost the game with the supporting cast that Russell had. Okay. That's the difference when I compare those two as to who's better.
Okay. So recently, Bleacher Report came out with a top 100 best players of all time, right?
Yeah.
They had Kobe Bryant at number 11, Hakeem Olajuwon 13.
Okay.
And then you had Steph at number 10.
Yeah. You want my honest opinion on that? So,
yeah.
So when it comes to Hakeem being there, right? I'm not mad at that. You know what I mean? Because they're gonna underrate somebody like that. He got 2 chips. But if you go skill for skill, one of the best ever. Top 5 most skilled player ever was Hakeem. So
Crazy prime.
Destroyed Shaq with all due respect. They say, young Shaq or whatever, but this is Hakeem in the twilight of his career. You know what I mean? And that's why I put him, if it go by skill set. But Kobe being at 12, you said? 11? That's completely unacceptable. And I feel like where they got Shaq at?
Yeah, you got certain
They got
names,
Shaq at 6?
You got Shaq at 6.
I think Kobe should replace Shaq when it comes to that. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna tell you why. Because Kobe wasn't a second best player like how you say, like Bosh or Wade was. Chris Middleton. Yeah. Like Shaq was a Antetokounmpo. Kobe wasn't Chris Middleton. You know what I mean? Like it could have been a Greek Freak 2.0 or something like that, because there were times where Kobe was Greek Freak and Shaq was on the bench during crunch time because he couldn't be in the game because they had Shaq and stuff like that. So yeah, and Kobe was never I would say Kobe is better than Shaq because Kobe wasn't the second best player on his 2 championships that he got after Shaq. So Shaq joined D Wade's team. He was the second best player, but Kobe was never on the same level as Shaq. As far as like, he was way beyond Shaq when it came to Kobe being the second best player on the championships with Shaq on the Lakers versus Shaq being the second best player with Wade, right? So when you look at that, Kobe was way better as a second player because he was like the first player carrying the team. So
why they was able to go three straight.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. The first 2 championships, in my most humblest opinion, you know, and most of those games down the stretch, Kobe was carrying the team with timely threes, timely buckets, free throws, all of that stuff. So, you know, Shaq getting MVP and stuff, rightfully so. The numbers back it up. But I'm not gonna. They wouldn't have had one without Kobe. They wouldn't have had one without Kobe. Now Kobe could say they could win without Shaq because he proved he could win without Shaq. I got Kobe, hands down, Kobe.
Yeah, and Kobe damn near almost won 3 straight too.
Right.
We're gonna go to 518, right?
Okay.
518 hoopers. Give me a top 5 518 hoopers.
Now, what's the context of this category? Because every time this topic, this subject comes up, it's very subjective because players have had an impact on the fans. You know what I mean? So loyal family members, close friends and stuff like that, it's all subjective. So when somebody says who's the best, it's gonna upset anybody because they be like, yo, you ain't mentioned my guy or you ain't mentioned him. So it's all subjective. Right. Top 5 as far as
just
overall,
when it's all said and
when
done,
it's all said and done, body of work,
you know what I'm saying?
Man,
impact.
You know
what I'm saying?
Man, you got to go with the guys that's playing in the league right now, right? You got Kevin Huerter in there in the league. You got Andre Jackson. He's playing in the league. You know what I'm saying? And
drafted to the Bucks.
Yeah, with the Bucks. Yeah, he had a really good high school career. He had a really good college career. Won the national championship, right? So you got to take that in the factor that if you could keep a job in the NBA, that automatically qualifies you as one of the top players that ever come out here. Because when it comes to 518 in general in the 518, he was a very big name during his high school career. Very successful, winning championships at Albany Academy and won the national championship, and then joined the Bucks that came off of winning the championship. So as long as he continues to grow, continues to develop, and find a way to stay in the league, I think he'll solidify that spot. You know what I mean? Kevin Huerter signed the biggest contract in 518. Basically the only player in the 518 to sign an extension. You know what I mean? So I look at that. I mean, obviously you got Jimmer that was there. He's definitely there too.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's definitely in that category as well. But it's too many great players to narrow it down to 5, but you got to go with the most credible as far as like body of work, because most of the players that a lot of people try to defend and stuff like that when they're not mentioned is they base their solely off their high school career, and there's nothing wrong with that. I basically I salute everybody's career, high school, college, pro. But if we're talking overall, when it's all said and done, body of work means what have you done after high school, during college, after college. Like, that plays a big part. And then you got guys like Joe Girard, you know, that 4,000 points in high school. You know what I'm saying? Had a very solid seasons at Syracuse and had a really good season at Clemson. And now he's overseas doing his thing and doing his thing. So I just feel like his high school career, if you go with what he did, there's no really comparing it. You know what I mean? He won a state championship, Section 2 titles. He was Mr. Basketball one year. Herder was too. But that's what I'm saying. That's just high school alone. Now, skill set and eye tests and stuff like that, they're all players that I've seen in my lifetime and competed against. That could have done similar things to what Joe Girard had done. But I can't take away nothing Joe Girard did. And that's the thing where I come in. People may take away that, but you can't. You can't rewrite history. You can't rewrite what's already been done. So, so we got 3 right there, right? We got Kevin Herder, we got Andre Jackson, Joe Girard. And you like from the 518, because you know I've heard Sam Perkins and all that, but he's not really from the 518. You know what I'm saying? I don't really think he's from 518. But what's another name? Joe Cremo. You know what I mean? I'm getting a lot of flack with this one, but if he hadn't got hurt post college, like right around that time and all that, you'd have had just to see. It's a wait and see now. Like, I know he's playing pro ball somewhere. It's a wait and see how his pro career goes. Okay. But an underrated player that I would mention would be Jordan King. You know what I mean? Jordan King. He had a solid high school career, more like a late bloomer though. He went to college and started cooking and frying everybody. You know what I mean? Shooting from half court. And when you go eye test, when you can lead a conference in scoring, that qualifies you. In my opinion, that qualifies you as being one of the top players ever in the 518 because nobody in the 518 was putting those type of numbers up. Besides guys like, Taylor Battle. I would put him, I wouldn't say Jordan's top 5 or nothing like that, but he's an honorable mention. And that's what I meant, that there's so many players that's done great things, like Trashawn Burrell, really underrated player overall. Like, with 518, he wasn't really in the 518 that much, flourishing as a player. Right? Like, he went prep, and then it was more like how Jordan did. Like, I would put them in that category. You know what I mean? Put them in that category. Like, but it's hard, man. It's hard. It's hard when it comes to, like, all right, if we talking high school, if we talking, like, college, you got to put Lionel Chalmers up there. You got to put Willie Dean up there. And I say that in a way where, like, they played in the Elite 8 and Sweet 16s and stuff like that. So Mark Lyons, obviously, you got him, you got, but it's all subjective because Mark Lyons fits the bill as far as like what he did well in high school, in both public and prep, right? And college, he did well at Xavier and Arizona. You know what I mean? So, and he's the first player ever to play in 2 Sweet 16 games for 2 different teams. Ever. So that qualifies him as being in the top 5. Yeah, absolutely. That definitely. He's in my top 5. I mean, if you talk about who's my top 5, my top 5 is different from they top 5.
Right,
You know what I mean? Because you know, you got a lot of, you know, if I say Mark Lyons' name, you know, you got a guy that be like, nah, my man Rashid from the hood is better than him, man. He could have been way better than him.
Yeah.
And when it comes to potential and talent, a lot of people had a lot of talent and had a lot of potential to be very good players.
Right.
But we talking like, nah, forget potential. What did you do?
Right.
Gotta put him near the top of the list. I mean, I feel like Mark Lyons, Cheeks, you know, Mark Lyons, I feel like he was born in the wrong era. Like, he was born an era too late. You know what I mean? Like he was born an era too early, too early. Because, you know, they got the YouTube, they got the Baller's Life and all that.
Right.
That started blowing up when he first got to college type shit. So I feel like if he was in high school doing what he was doing in high school, it would have been crazy.
Okay. All right. So let's switch gears a little bit. This crazy world we got, you know what I'm saying, 2025, a lot of stuff going on. Black community got mental health is a real big issue. You know what I mean, people dealing with their traumas.
But are they?
Right, or trying to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Whatever ways they come up with.
Right.
But what is some advice you could give to like the youngsters or YNs, as they say nowadays, just to try to, you know what I'm saying, get more focused on their goals, and I mean, just trying to show their, like, you know, true self in the world and stuff.
Well, you know, shout out to everybody that's, you know, that got a journey, that's continuing to fight in their struggle and their journey and progress and all that stuff. So first and foremost, that I would say communication is the biggest thing. You know, with dealing with trauma, with dealing with any type of thing that affects you as a person behavior-wise.
Right.
You know, being traumatized, understanding what trauma is, you know, and being traumatized and understanding that that's a taught behavior, because over time, that's all you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then over time, you know, trauma is a taught behavior that turns into a survival instinct and tactic. You know what I mean? Because if it's instilled you to be like that from what you've learned, that's all you're gonna know. So your behavior may be viewed as, oh, this dude's out of control. He's doing all types of crazy stuff. When you look at the context as to why, that's what we gotta get to. You know what I mean? And a lot of people don't like sharing that. You know what I mean? A lot of people keep that hidden. You got people that could be friends for like 20, 30 years and not know nothing about their background, not know nothing about their life story, how they came up. So if like I was speaking to somebody the other day and they told me, they was like, man, I don't know why she did that, man. You know, I've been with her for years, you know what I'm saying? I said, do y'all know each other's life story or background, anything like that? He's like, nah. I said, then you don't know the person.
Right.
You know, in order for us to know each other and be, yo, you my mans, I really rock with you, or you my brother, I love you, and all that stuff, you really gotta understand the backstory and the origin story to really understand the person, and vice versa. And you know, a lot of people just don't share it. They bottle it up. You know, they're ashamed of people knowing how they came up. You know what I mean? They you know, and a lot of people is just, they show that side as like, they show the result side. You know what I mean? They don't talk about the day one side a lot. You know what I mean? Like, origin stories is weird, man, because when you got people that have an ego and all that type of stuff, you know, they don't really want to share it because they don't want the person they saying it to make them they make them look weak or make them change the perception of how that person viewed them. You know what I'm saying? So I say, you know, once I started sharing my trauma and talking to people about it and stuff, I felt good about it. You know what I mean? And I think with mental health, that's the main thing that the black neighborhood has to get to in order to be a black community, because there's no black community. You know, there's a Dominican community, there's a Puerto Rican community, you know what I'm saying? There's a Greek, there's a China, they Chinatown, all that stuff, and the Guyanese, you know, is, you know, in Schenectady, you know, they own all the real estate over there. I say Schenectady-Guyanese, yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, and the reason why the black community is where it's at is ownership. Nobody owns nothing, and nobody's willing to be a team to work towards a common goal. That's why the Guyanese is advancing, you know what I'm saying? Bringing their peoples over, putting them in, community, putting them in 4-story complexes, fitting like maybe 6-7 people per apartment, and giving them $1,600 a week jobs. You add that up per week, they're investing in properties every single week. You know what I mean? And they're repeating that cycle every single year or whenever they repeat it. But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's no unity. Once there's unity, there's understanding and stuff like that, then there could be hope for that. But it starts with mental health. With the black community, you know what I'm saying? It starts with mental health. You know, sharing your origin story, man, talking about what's bothering you. Somebody who walk around, something bothering them, and you don't know what it is, and they just got some attitude and all that stuff, but they not letting you know. But they showing you what they doing. But that's what I'm saying. Communication is key when it comes to mental health. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people walk around like something's bothering them, but they ain't gonna tell you what's bothering them. You know what I mean? But they'll complain about what's bothering them. You know what I mean? And not get to the root of it. They won't get to the root of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's definitely important with that. And like I said, common goal, team players. You know, and especially like when it comes to like the black community and stuff like that. When somebody come up, I could speak for myself when I say like, yo, I wanted to see everybody win. You know what I'm saying? And there, you know, comment, you know, whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? As far as like, call me out if I'm capping, and they say capping and shit, right? So, yeah, I always been a team player. I always clapped when somebody won. You know what I mean? I always rooted for them to win, and I always saluted when you won. You know what I mean? So, if you get that type of enthusiasm on your team with a common goal, man, sky's the limit, man. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like, you know, when somebody gets their money or comes up and stuff like that, they want to keep it. You know, they work so hard to get there, and boom, you know, and or I remember all that hating you was doing and all that, and they turn it into a victory dance, like a payback. You know what I mean? Like ha, I'm up now, let's go. You know what I'm saying? But when it come to that though, man, it's just, you know, don't be like that. You know what I mean? Let them be like that. You know what I mean? You don't gotta be like that. You know what I'm saying? You can still be yourself, and you can still get a good team and get a good plan and prosper out and, you know, be successful, man.
All right, those are real wise words there for the youngsters out there.
Yes, sir.
Not even just the youngsters. I mean, just
everybody,
if you live in life in general, right?
Man. This for all my OGs, all my aunties, you know, the elderlies, all the elderly. You know, the thing about them, and as you get older too, it's like you kind of stick to your generational age gap and stuff like that. But the people that the older people, I just feel like it gotta be a respect. That's what we gotta get back to, respecting each other, you know what I mean? You know, it goes a long way, you know what I mean? Especially when, you know, you got people out here that's really struggling with their mental health, financially, with all of that too.
Yeah.
So it won't hurt to uplift one another. It won't hurt to encourage one another. You know what I'm saying? And it's really as simple as that. It is not hard, you know. But I just feel like the competition, the ego,
Greed.
yeah, the greed, where you think what your image should be and stuff like that. I just gotta get away from the you know, impressing the street and all that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? That, you know, the street is the street. That arena is that arena. You know what I'm saying? And got nothing bad to say about it. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? The first level of society, you know, is the bottom. And we're fighting the system as it is. You know what I mean? So, you know, the cops are there just to protect the real estate for all the ownership, all the businesses and all that. That is policy enforcers. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, you just gotta make sure that you stay focused on what you gotta do as an individual for your mental health. You gotta take care of yourself first. Mental health, you have to take care of you first. And once you get your mind right, your money right. That's, you heard the Jay-Z, you know, I get my mind right, money right, and ready for war. So it's basically in that step. It's basically 3 basic steps.
They tell you on the airplane, I mean with the mask or whatever, the air mask, you gotta put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help somebody else. Right.
So if you going in a burning building, you know, and you ain't got your fire extinguisher with you or your water hose, don't go in there, man. I mean, they say play with fire, you get burnt and all that stuff. You know, protect your energy, man. Protecting energy. That's a big thing, man, because like growth and going through stages of situations, you know what I'm saying? You get experience in how to catch it so it don't happen again.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or something really bad, like it gotta be a really big fallout between you and your mans for you to realize he ain't your mans. You know what I'm saying? Like if y'all cool one day, or it could be over something petty, you know what I mean? And then they talking to you crazy and all that. They're not really your mans. You know what I mean? But then it goes back to knowing the story, knowing who they are.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I just feel like protect your energy, man. It's like certain shit get old after a while, man. Like hanging out, you know, nowadays, you know, you want to get your money, stay out the way, go on trips.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's played out now. The crash out stuff is more or less of people that don't got nothing to do, which are very dangerous people.
Right.
People that ain't got nothing to do tomorrow, they dangerous. You know what I'm saying? But if you stay away from them, you ain't gotta fear them because you know they ain't going nowhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? And no disrespect, is just more or less like, you know, different lane. I've been in different lanes and experience to know. You know what I mean? And shit, when I was falling off track, I'll be at, you know, college or whatever and stuff. The hood was a hiding place. I know the people that knew me for being in that lane wouldn't look for me there. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't look for me in the hood. So it was more like a shame. Like, you know, when you're running from yourself. You know what I mean? So mental health, attacking mental health, protecting your energy. If you know that there's a party going on and you know that there's a lot of people over there that like to start arguments and bicker and complain and stuff, you kind of not want to go over to that party.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? You gonna stay with your peoples or playing something else. But yeah, protecting your energy, because as soon as somebody do start an argument with you and they get you tight and you get frustrated, that's their job. They did their job. You know what I'm saying? Now you got, now you talking to him about that person and that person, and it gets messy, man. That's why, the best remedy too, to protecting your energy is mind your fucking business, man. Right. Y'all excuse my language and stuff, but yeah, minding your business, man. That goes a long way. With, in a Bible verse, Deuteronomy, it says, "He who keeps his mouth keeps his life," man. And it goes to like, protect your energy. You know what I mean? If you got somebody about on the verge of crashing out, and they trying to egg you on to get into it with them so it could turn fatal, if you stay quiet, probably 10 times out of 10, most likely, it's gonna die down. It's gonna die down. You know what I'm saying? But usually you're on the right side of things, because if you start feeding into it, engaging into that person, then who knows what might happen. Maybe he wasn't gonna snap, because he seen you just chilling there, not wanting no issue with him. So sometimes you gotta bow out. You gotta know when to be like, all right, man, you got it, bro.
Right.
All right, you got it, fam. You good, man.
Don't even give it more energy.
Nah, you can't, man, because if naturally we all don't want to take it there. You know what I mean? Right. Naturally, like let's be real. Like, nobody be wanting don't be wanting beef. You know what I mean? The ones that crash out, they do it for recognition. You know what I mean? Validation. A lot of those guys didn't have a lot of attention growing up. So the ones that are crashing out, that, the weakest ones are the ones that's quick to pull the trigger with the lack of emotional intelligence. You know what I mean? Emotional intelligence is, having patience. You know what I'm saying? You see a person that's being an a-hole or whatever, you gotta like ignore that or compose yourself in dealing with it better than, being angry and just snapping at somebody. You know what I'm saying? So, it is a struggle, especially when you get older. It's gonna be testing you until you go. You know what I mean? Like, mentally, you know what I mean? But yeah, protect your energy at all costs is the motto. Protect your energy, man. If you around good vibes all the time, and and you loving that, why be around somebody that's gonna take you out of that element? Why be around somebody that's gonna make you feel bad about what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So I'll just avoid that. I'm not even on social media no more like that. You know what I mean? You notice, right? I ain't on there, like, because I will read a comment or I see somebody's post and I'll read it, and automatically I'll just start feeling tight out of nowhere. Like, why am I mad?
Right.
You know what I mean? We ain't supposed to be on social media, talking about all your baby daddies and mamas and all that. You ain't supposed to be putting your business out there for everybody, man.
Well, yeah, man. It's good chopping up with you, man.
Absolutely.
We're gonna wrap this up. Is there anything else you want to, tell the people or get off your chest before we get up out of here?
Shout out to everybody doing their thing. I love y'all. If I offended anybody in life, please forgive me. You know what I mean? And vice versa, man. I forgive you. If you ever violated, disrespected, I forgive you, man. You can't go through life being mad all the time. You know what I'm saying? Or being mad. All right, cool. Water under the bridge, man. Cool, man. You know what I mean? So, appreciate you.
All right, man.
Yes, sir. Always. Yes, sir, man. Yes, sir.
Peace.
Let's go.